what is your beef with Catherine Burblesing? Now, for anyone who someone doesn't know, Catherine Burblesing is the head teacher of the Michaela Community School, which is known as a very strict school with old-fashioned regimens, but that achieves very good grades, and she's become a sort of celebrity off the back of it, known as Britain's strictest headmistress. But you've had a kind of epic online beef with her that kind of kicked off, and then it sort of settled down for about a month, and then reappeared. And what is all that about?
Well, frankly, I think she enjoys it as much as I do. It's gotten heated, but I still think she's sincere and basically good natured. I don't dislike the woman, and certainly I concede the point that she is doing her level best with a pretty poor hand. She's sort of like a Theresa May figure, being given Brexit to try and appease all of these wildly competing agendas. And all she can do is what she does do, which she's a pretty competent teacher who runs a good school. And I've never disputed that. My point of contention is that her performative rituals of taking the kids out to the rugby, singing Jerusalem and God Save the King, I don't know whether she seriously believes this is an effective integration program, but it categorically isn't. To integrate into Britain, you need to be immersed in British culture, and thus you need to be immersed in with British people. When I was in school in Bradford, I think maybe about 10-15% were Asian. It's substantially more now, but at the time, those Asian kids were immersed in white British culture. They learned our mannerisms. They watched the same programs as us. They went to the same uh, uh, cinemas as us. They were our friends. And integration at that level is possible, but I think actually her school is, white natives Brits are a fraction. So her kids are not immersed in British culture and going through these performative rituals of singing songs and learning the Lord's Prayer or whatever. Meanwhile, running a vegetarian school because she's too gutless to go up against the halal lobby. I think it's my yeah. Again, it's not a dislike of her. I don't find her compelling. I don't find her convincing. Anyone who suggests that these rituals and the teaching of British values is going to produce fully integrated citizens is for the birds. As much as anything, it's a London school. London is a foreign country now. It has a distinct culture that's separate to the backbone of England. And so maybe she's going to produce conscientious, polite, well qualified kids with good grades, but they're never going to be British. So it's a school that's an excellent school that's basically training up our replacements with this bogus bureaucratic notion of British values. And British values is such a nebulous and such a fatuous idea that it doesn't actually mean anything, because if it's just basically a bureaucratic curriculum based on 1990s liberalism, just as liberalism itself is dying. I'm more a Burblesing skeptic. Certainly, our exchanges have become more heated, but it is still heated banter. Again, at no point have I ever said she runs a bad school. But she's just prone to being overly defensive. But I think if I put the arguments to her in person, she would concede that there is no way for her kids to become meaningfully British on the basis of her curriculum.
Yeah, okay. Well, I was going to say I'd hate to see someone you actually dislike because you have been quite rude at times. That's my only sort of minor criticism where I wouldn't be as rude, but that's personal choice. But the actual argument you make, I think, is strong, and she doesn't really seem to dispute it. Like you say, she seems to
No,
be.
she skirts
Almost,
around it.
yeah, it's almost like you're talking past each other because she's feels like you're saying her school's bad or something, which you're not. It can never meet what you're asking it to do. I see it as a little bit like Singapore. You know how Singapore look, Lee Kuan Yew, and he looked at our high trust society and he thought, wow, that's amazing. But he thought the only way I can recreate that is by force. So you kind of have the authoritarian artificial version. We had this organic high trust society, and it's to me, I sort of see the school a bit like that. It's like, okay, how can we make everyone get along? Right. Well, we have to go to the lowest common denominator. Everyone's a vegetarian, so it's not English culture or British culture. It's like what's a negotiated kind of values thing that you pointed out.
Yeah, and for that to work, it requires everybody to buy into it. And of course, the migrant communities are not going to buy into it. They're going to buy into it on a very superficial level in order to get into that school because it will get their kids good grades. But the moment they go home, they'll be speaking their own language. None of this will be reinforced in the home. They will continue to practice their own cultural traditions. They won't have any experience of British culture or British values, whatever they are. And for us the natives to subscribe to these British values, it requires some kind of sacrifice from us, sacrifice of something that's genuine, real, and organic in favour of this bureaucratic civic identity, which the migrants themselves reject.
Yeah, and she makes the argument, well, these kids know history better than most British kids and so on. And the thing is, it may well be true. I went to a rubbish comprehensive school. We didn't learn anything. In a way, though, that's a further disenfranchisement of the native population because it's like actually these people are getting a better education about Britain than we are. In a way, you could say that's adding insult to injury, even though from her perspective, of course, she's going to educate them the best she can. But in a way, it's sort of like it doesn't help the sort of archetypal struggling poor white British kid or English kid who's least likely to get to university of any demographic.
Well, by her criteria, the more you know about Britain, the more British you are. Which rather suggests that somebody brought some poor white boy with no real education, born and bred fourth generation Gipton estate in Leeds, isn't British by her definition. So it's another way of quietly dispossessing the British of being British. And I think I don't think she realizes that's the subtext of what she's saying, but it is. And anybody who sees that is offended by it and is entitled to be offended by it. I don't think she quite realizes just how obnoxious that is.
Yeah, if it was all just about knowledge, I mean, you would be an aeroplane if, if it was just
Not
about things
quite.
you.
Yes. Yeah.